Hey everybody, Teching 101 here, and in today's video, you're going to have to put on your One Piece hat, but also your D&D hat, because today we're talking about what if the Straw Hats played Dungeons and Dragons. Also, as I was, making the thumbnail for this, I was thinking maybe people might misconstrue this video into thinking that it's a video on how to play the Straw Hats in D&D, and at that point, I will say I will have some recommendations on, the actual character classes the Straw Hats might pick, but that's not really this video. I would recommend a channel called Tulok the Barbarian, where he makes a bunch of different character builds based off of characters in fiction, movies and video games, anime, and manga. He's done one for Hunter x Hunter and then Naruto, and he has done a One Piece one on Luffy and Zoro, so check out his channel definitely. This is more about just if in a world where the Straw Hats are sailing on the Sunny and they find some Dungeons and Dragons, 5th edition core books, and they're like, let's play, how exactly would that go down, okay? So first and foremost, before we even get into what the campaign would be or what the different Straw Hats would play as a character, the biggest question really in any D&D campaign, I'm sure plenty of people know this all too well, is who's gonna run it, okay? Who's gonna be the DM, all right? Because if you don't have a DM, then, it's just, there's no game, right? Okay. And so, to that end, I considered out of all 10 Straw Hats, which ones would be the best at DMing and which ones would actually want to DM, is, I guess, the idea. So, basically, we have two options here. If anybody really thinks about the Straw Hats for, just a little bit amount of time, you basically have two options. You have Usopp, because, he goes around telling tales. He's the best option to be a DM. Usopp would be in his element being a DM for a game, and he would be, okay? Usopp would come up with the most elaborate worlds and stories and his own, unique monsters and stuff and the legends and things that would entail. You would genuinely feel, because that's what Usopp does. He goes around and tells stories about how great he is and how amazing all these journeys, all these mountains he's climbed and castles he's fell and dragons he's killed, all this cool stuff he's done. He could just translate that immediately into a D&D campaign, and it would be so epic. It would go on for years and years, and once you finally reached, the final encounter, the boss battle, it would be insane. Okay, so Usopp definitely first pick for being a DM. I would sit in and be a player in Usopp's game any day of the week, no matter what, okay? It'd be like, you fight against a giant goldfish, although, in the sense of the Straw Hats, he might have to ramp it up a little bit because the Straw Hats have already encountered so many crazy stuff. So in Usopp's campaign, it's like, you fight against a giant goldfish. It's like, Usopp, we've already done that. We've actually done it. Oh, okay, you have to fight against the giant blue dragon. It's like, we already did that. Luffy killed him. He knocked him into a volcano. It's like, yeah, damn it, okay, maybe you're right. But I think Usopp in that regard, it'd be a tough crowd. It would be a tough crowd with the Straw Hats, but I think he can dial something up. In fact, maybe go the opposite direction. Instead of making it high-stakes, crazy adventure, make it something a little bit more slice of life, because that's something that's, not the Straw Hats, what they usually deal with, They're dealing with these giant world-ending threats at this point, fighting the Gorosei and shit, It'd just be like, you know what? You're in a small little town, and you're in a bakery, and there's an old lady selling muffins. It's just okay, what happens with that, Whatever the story, whatever the campaign, Usopp would DM marvelously, okay? The other option that I think is really good is Robin. Robin, having a whole other angle with this, being a historian and a scholar and archaeologist and everything like that, she would probably incorporate a lot of, historical stuff that she knows into D&D. She would be the kind of DM that is not necessarily 100% serious, because Robin does have a very dark sense of humor, so her game would be littered with that. Sprinkled throughout her game, it would be an extraordinarily historically accurate world that she would build. It would be like somebody that knows a crap ton about Roman history, like the Roman Empire or something like that, would make a world where it's in the Roman Empire, and all the emperors, when the plague of Justinian happened and the fires, and when everything happened, the Nika riots, that was a thing, exactly when all this stuff occurred, and you put it right in there, and you're playing a genuine, historically accurate, ancient Rome campaign. but then also Robin would sprinkle in some weird dark humor, which would not be hard in ancient Rome in the slightest. It would actually fit right in, okay? So that would be the kind of story she would craft. Different from Usopp's, but still very immersive, okay? And at the same time, though, like, you know, she's presenting this world super seriously in this historical context, and then you'd have people like Luffy that would just, like, you know, he would just do he would be the wild card in playing this game, and it would just make it, like he would try to become the Emperor. He would just run up and punch the Emperor in the face, and it's like, Luffy, you've punched Caesar Augustus in the face. It's like, he's not just gonna let you get away with that. It's just like, who cares? I punched him. I'm the Emperor now. It's just like, okay, I guess we're doing this now. All right, here comes the Royal Guard. Okay, so that's Robin and Usopp, and I think they would do a fantastic job. Now, other Straw Hats you could see being a DM. Like, I could see Chopper being a DM. In fact, Chopper being a DM would actually be really adorable. Chopper would get up there and he'd be like, I'm so excited to DM, and he would just get up there and he would sit at the table and he'd be like, okay, everybody, okay, you find yourself in the Cotton Candy Kingdom on your way to meet Princess Buttercup. Or whatever. You're gonna go meet the Candy Cane King or something like that. And you know what? I'm game for that. I'm okay. All right, we're in the freaking Cotton Candy Kingdom. You know, what do I see? It's like, well, to your left is a peppermint forest. There's a peppermint forest. Okay, let's go in the peppermint forest. You know, like, let's see, it's D&D. Let's explore. And Chopper would be making this shit up as he goes. He would have like a couple of notes, but it would just be, Chopper's journey would be more of like first time ever DMing, and he's having a lot of fun, and then just like, okay, don't think too much about it. Let's just go and just have a good time, right? So Chopper DMing would be really fun. Frankie's, I think, would be more, I mean, definitely science fiction, something like Shadowrun. Me and my friends have played Paranoia a lot. My friend Cody runs Paranoia really well, so we played that a few times, and that's a lot of fun to play. So it would be some kind of thing like that, you know, like Shadowrun by Frankie would be ideal there. Now, like the other Straw Hats, like Luffy, for instance, I feel like Luffy is one of those people that's just suited better to be a player of the game and reacting to things and doing stuff in the world rather than crafting the world itself. I just don't feel like Luffy has the attention span for that, and you might say, it's like, I don't know, Tekking, I played plenty of games where the DM doesn't have much of an attention span, it's just crazy. Hey, look, anybody can DM, okay? So Luffy DMing, I'm just saying the game would probably devolve pretty quickly into not even D&D anymore. Like, at a certain point, you could probably just move the player sheets aside and you're just sitting there and just, you know, just interacting like that. Like, I feel like that's how it would go. But when it comes to running a really, really, really good game, like top-level game, Usopp Robin, okay? Now, this is an interesting dynamic on who's gonna play. Like, are all the Straw Hats going to play at once? Because that would be a big crowd, okay? Let's say Usopp is DMing. That's 9 people. I wanna ask you guys, what was the biggest game you've ever been part of? Not an online thing, but like a in-person kind of game. Because the biggest game I was ever part of, it was a one-shot that we did, and I think there were, including the DM, I think there was like 9 people there. And it was a lot of fun, but it was just a lot of moving parts with that many people involved there. The game that I run, I have, there's 6 of us, so I'm the DM, so there's 5 players. And I would honestly say like 3 to 5 players is what I'm the most comfortable with right now. We're doing Briggs's campaign. That's going to be this week over on the Rant Cafe Twitch page. And there's only 3 players. You know, Briggs is the DM, and then it's me, and it's Truck, and then it's Animac. And having that dynamic with only 3 players, I think that, I'm not saying it's any better or worse, it's just there's more focus on character development in that particular story because there's less other players to like particularly focus on, so you just focus more on these 3, okay? It's just more players you have, they each have interesting backstories and stuff. The DM has to like focus on each and every one of them. Having a smaller group of people means less work, which means you could focus more on each individual person. Unless you're like really skilled with D&D, unless you're like Matt Mercer or somebody, which by the way, Matt Mercer also ties back to One Piece because he's the English VA for law, so there it is. But yeah, if you're somebody really, really skilled with D&D and you can juggle like, oh yeah, having 8 players at the table, I can focus on each of you perfectly, and you all have your backstories that I'm going to touch upon and expand upon, and you're all going to have your moment to shine, that's great. But the more people, the more difficult it gets, right? So in the case with the Straw Hats playing D&D, what I'm trying to get across here is I've narrowed this down, I've looked at this scientifically, And I've determined that Robin is the linchpin here, okay? If Robin is the one that DMs, if they ask, hey, Robin, we found these strange tomes floating in the ocean. It's called D&D. Do you want to play it? And, like, Robin looks at it really quick, you know, because she's fascinated by books. And if Robin's like, this looks pretty interesting, I'll read the rules and sure, we can play tonight. And all the Straw Hats are like, yeah, okay. Robin is the linchpin, because here's the thing. If Robin is playing the game, I guess this also means, like, if Usopp's DMing and Robin is a player. But if Robin is playing the game, then Nami is also going to, you know, has a better chance of playing the game. Because it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to do it if just it's like Luffy and Usopp and whatever and Zoro is playing it. But if Robin's joining in, I'll join in too, okay? I could see that. So Nami plays because Robin is playing. And because Nami and Robin are playing, now that gets Sanji interested, like, because I don't think normally, like, maybe if they bugged him enough, like if, Usopp and Luffy and Chopper bothered Sanji enough times, he would eventually be like, okay, fine, I'll play your game, like, I'll do it, sure. But unless, like, the first thing he would ask is Robin and Nami gonna play? And then they're like, no, we asked them and they said no, they thought it was lame. And then Sanji would be like, yeah, sorry, I can't help you. I gotta wash dishes tonight, guys. I don't have time to help you, right? Now, I also think Sanji joining is the prerequisite for Zoro joining. And you might think, why is that? Because Zoro and Sanji don't like each other too much. Like, they're constantly at odds. Here's what's going to happen. Robin joins, Nami joins, Sanji's interested in joining, and then the other crew are like, oh, cool, we'll go ask Zoro. And Zoro will either be, you know, lifting weights, or he'll be drinking, or he'll be asleep. It's like, Zoro, you want to play D&D? And he'd be like, you know, he'd be asleep or whatever. But, you know, Sanji's gonna shit-talk him. You know, Sanji's gonna say some crap like, whatever, leave the stupid moss head to his weightlifting or whatever. He doesn't have an imagination. He would suck at this game. That's gonna rile Zoro right up. That's gonna get him just like, wait, what are you saying, you stupid swirly eyebrows? I have plenty of an imagination. I have way more imagination than you any day. It's like, bullshit, you do. You die and could, like, the first fight, you'd be dead in this game. Like, screw off, I could beat you. He's like, yeah, well, you can't beat me in this game. It's like, oh. So that's gonna be a thing, right? When it comes to the other Straw Hats, I feel like Chopper's always game to this. Usopp and Luffy are always gonna want to play it. They'd be the ones running around the ship. It would be probably Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper asking everybody else to play. Frankie would be down, definitely. Brook, I think, would also be down to play. Jinbei, I think he would be, but it would be in the way that, like, a nice, kind dad takes interest in their children's, like, hobbies. You know, like, they go over to Jinbei, and Jinbei's just hanging out, like, steering the sunny, and be like, hey, Jinbei, how you doing? He's like, well, I'm doing great. It's a fantastic night today. We should have no problem reaching the next island in a few days. It's a calm wind. He's like, that's great. Hey, you want to play D&D with us? It's a game where you, like, make a character and you go on crazy adventures. And Jinbei's like, ha ha ha, I think we go on enough crazy adventures ourselves. It's like, yeah, but it's a game. You want to play? And I think they would have to, like, ask him, like, once or twice, but I think Jinbei would be like, oh, all right, well, I've never played that game before. It's fine, we'll teach you. It's like, all right, I'll give it a try. You know, I think Jinbei might not 100% get it, but it's like, he wants to play it because it's like, you know, my kids are interested in the game. All right, fine. What is with this Dungeons and Dragons thing here? What's an AC? What's going on here? You know, like, okay. So that's probably going to be the way it's going to work there, all right? But, yeah, to get all the Straw Hats together, Robin DMs, Nami joins, then Sanji shit-talks Zoro, Zoro joins, and all the other Straw Hats, I think, would be game. And then that's how you get, like, everybody playing together, okay? And if Robin is not part of this, then I think it's only just going to be Usopp, Luffy, Chopper, Brook, Frankie, and then maybe Jinbei. So guaranteed, if Usopp DMs, you got Luffy, Chopper, Frankie, and Brook. That's a pretty good team right there. I'd say that's a perfect game. That's honestly something more comfortable in terms of, like, the numbers. Usopp DMs, Luffy, Chopper, Brook, and then Frankie. And you're saying Jinbei maybe doesn't want to play or something like that, or really doesn't understand it, or something along those lines, okay? In the chaotic scenario where all 10 of the Straw Hats are playing, I want you to imagine this scene, okay? It's nighttime, and the sunny is anchored for the evening. It's a calm sea in the Grand Line, in the New World. Might even be called the Calm Belt. You know, it's a super calm part of the ocean where nothing bad happens whatsoever. You know, clear skies overhead, nice and warm, not too cold. And the Straw Hats are in the dining room area, and the lights are just, they're not super bright, but they're lit just enough for ambiance, right? And they all have some snacks. You know, Sanji put out like the top tier gourmet snacks because Robin and Nami are here. Like, they're all getting ready for the game, and they're sitting around, and like Usopp's asking Luffy, and everybody's like, what'd you make your character? And Luffy's just like, oh, I made a barbarian because I think that's really cool. I'm gonna go around and hit people really hard. And he's like, oh, that's cool. Usopp's like, yeah, I made a rogue, so I'm gonna go around and like stab people a lot. And he's like, that's pretty neat. And then they're helping Chopper is helping freaking Jinbei at the end of the table. Like, Chopper doesn't really understand it himself, but he's helping Jinbei, and Jinbei's like, I don't understand, so what's the initiative? What do I put for that? And he's just like, oh, I think it's like your Dex mod or something. I'm not really. Robin, what do we do? And then Robin is at the end of the table, like getting everything ready. She has like papers and everything set to go, books, reference material next door. Oh my God, Robin being a DM would be perfect. She has the Hana no Mi. Oh my God, I didn't even consider that as an option. That makes her even the best DM. Because I cannot, listen to me. When I'm playing D&D, I have all my shit ready to go. I have a big-ass binder for my homebrew campaign. I have so many things next to me. I got spell cards. I got character sheets. I got a whole bunch of stuff in front of me, right? I got a notepad that I take, you know, to keep track of, like, attacks and initiatives and HP and everything like that. All the different miniatures and everything. Dude, do you know how useful having an infinite amount of arms and hands and eyes, you know? It's just, like, you could just use your, okay. In a situation like this, where some of the people don't know how to play D&D too well, like Jinbei's at the end of the table and he's like, oh, I'm not really sure, like, you know, I use this. And he's just like, okay, well, what's your attack mod or whatever? He's like, I don't know. Robin doesn't even need to get up and look at the sheet, or Jinbei has to pass the sheet. She can literally just open an eye and see, like, on Jinbei's chest and just see his sheet. And be like, oh, it's +4. Okay, Jinbei, you swing your axe. And it's just like, there it goes. It's just done. Robin would be perfect. There's miniatures on the table. You know, everybody always has to get up and, like, move their stuff around. And, like, okay, the monster moves over here. And then I'm thinking, Robin could just move the hand and just doop, 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 moving everything over and everything like that. She grabs a bunch of hands. There's a extra, she can clone herself, for God's sake. There's a clone of Robin in the back reading reference material and what the encounter is going to happen. She's planning encounters while a current encounter is going on. You know, she's like modulating the game as shit go. And, you know, so yeah, Robin is a multitasker for sure. She could definitely make this work. The fact of her devil fruit precludes that she has to be good at multitasking, okay? She would be perfect at this, okay? So Robin is helping everybody make their characters, helping Jinbei out. Chopper's also trying to help out. Brooke is there sipping tea. Sanji's like, you know, Nami, I made you a parfait. Robin, what would you like? And then Zoro's at the table, like, shit-talking Sanji the entire time. Also, by the way, I'm picturing a scenario where, let's say, Zoro or Sanji DM'd, they'd be, and the other person did play, they would be just constantly ruling dice in the favor of killing the other person. You know, like, it'd be like Zoro's playing and Sanji's the DM, and Zoro's like, okay, I go up to the bandit and swing my sword. Yeah, you miss him. Really? I rolled a 19. Yeah, you missed him. His AC's really high. And just like, oh, he kills you. Yep, you're dead. Sorry, just instant kill. He has a magic dagger that only kills dipshits. Sorry, Zoro. It's like, oh, so then it would become a fight off the table at that point. Sorry. So that would be funny there, right? So everybody's getting ready. You got snacks, you got chips and Fritos and everything everywhere. So we have all this stuff on the table. We're all ready to go. We're playing. Okay, and which class is each Straw Hat going to be? All right, so I wrote this down. Now, just simply taking their abilities and their powers in One Piece and just equating that to a class in D&D, that is one way to go about it, certainly, but then you also probably just have a lot of the Straw Hats playing generic fighters. Also, like, for example, Frankie. The obvious pick is Artificer, okay, but Maybe Frankie doesn't want to play an artificer because he kind of already is one. You know what I mean? Like, the idea of D&D is you don't necessarily, like, Frankie is a robot, so he has to play artificer. Like, he can do whatever he wants, right? So he's looking at the table and he's like some other class. So I wrote down multiple classes for each Straw Hat, and maybe like 2 or 3, and just let me know what you think about each one, okay? So for Luffy, I already mentioned, I could see him being a barbarian, because barbarians are very straightforward when it comes to classes. I mean, you get some extra attacks, you got your rage, you got to remember some stuff with that, but overall, like, they're a pretty simple kind of just like, you rage, you go, you get this many attacks, you get reckless attack, whatever you have, you get high enough level, you get to extra attacks and things like that, you get some cool stuff, but there's really not a lot going on with it in terms of like super complexity. There's no spells for you to learn. I know there's special, barbarians, you can cast spells, but Luffy would be a more, simplistic kind of barbarian that just wants to go and hit shit, okay? Monk, I also wrote down for him getting into the key points kind of stuff. Maybe that might be a little bit more for Luffy to handle, but just going up and punching things would be really good. You could, by the way, I mean, fighter for pretty much most of the Straw Hats. Like, Luffy could be a fighter, Zoro could be a fighter, Sanji could be a fighter, Usopp could be a fighter. It's like fighter is kind of the more generic one there. Zoro, I put down being a ranger, kind of like an outlander kind of person. I can kind of picture Zoro. Now, in the case with being a fighter, there is a subclass for samurai. That does exist. So I was like, okay, him being a fighter, samurai makes the most sense because he is like a samurai. But maybe if Zoro wanted to spice it up a little bit, he would be a ranger, okay? And maybe because Zoro uses swords, maybe in D&D, he's like, you know what? My character's not going to use a sword. My character's going to use a bow. I want to do things a little different sometimes. Just because Zoro uses a sword doesn't mean his D&D character has to use a sword, okay? That's just not how it goes, right? So maybe he does something completely different, right? Maybe Zoro does, maybe he's the one that plays a monk, because monks are, they're more hand-to-hand combat, and so Zoro finds that interesting, right? That, like, has ki, and maybe he's interested in, like, oh, the power of energy within you. It's like hockey. I will play that, something like that. Cool. When it comes to Nami, of course, she is a cat burglar and a thief, so there's, like, thief is literally a subclass of rogue, so being a rogue, I think, would fit her perfectly. Also, wizard. I could see Nami having a spellcasting class, just because of, like, she's talked about being a weather wizard before, with her climate act, it's often compared to magic. In either case, I could see her maybe being a warlock if you want to be a more edgy kind of like spellcasting class, but I could definitely see Nami being interested in the idea of like casting spells and things like that, and maybe manipulating the weather around you. That is something I could see. Like, I don't see Nami playing a barbarian or something. Maybe she does. Maybe she's like, you know what? I want to play against type. I want to be a giant, muscular barbarian with a huge axe. It's like maybe. But I could see her being a rogue or a wizard. Now, in the case with Sanji, I think the one that makes the most sense with his character and fighting style would be Monk, because he fights, unarmed combat with his kicks, flurry of blows and everything like that. Monk, that would make sense. But I could also see him as maybe possibly a sorcerer, warlock, or maybe even a cleric, because the idea is like, oh, I will be a cleric and always make sure that Nami's character is not dead. I will make whatever class allows me to keep Nami's character in the game, that's what I'm gonna pick. So I could see him doing that for the sole sake of helping Nami's character out. Also, whatever character Zoro plays, he's not going to play. So if Zoro wants to, like, I think I'm going to play a monk, that seems kind of cool, Sanji's not going to play a monk. Or you can maybe look at it like Zoro looks at the monk and he's like, well, that's kind of fighting like Sanji fights. I don't want to play a damn monk. Monks probably suck, right? It might be something like that, right? But, I could see Sanji being a cleric and just, like, clinging to Nami's character to make sure she survives. Like, Nami gets hit with an arrow or something. Like, no, Nami, I will heal you! Like, he's giving out all the heals to Nami and, like, nobody else. Zoro just got critted over there by 2 characters, and he's double crit, and he's down. He's like, please heal me. And Sanji's like, yeah, I mean, Nami took 1 HP damage, so gotta heal her first, Marimo. Don't know what to tell you. I could see that. I just hope it doesn't get super awkward with his, like Sanji's character hitting on Nami's character in the game. Then again, it wouldn't be any different than how he normally acts on the Sunny. Oh, it would be interesting if it's like, Sanji's character goes up to Nami's character and is like, hey, like, you're in a tavern, because you're in the tavern. Everywhere starts in a tavern. Hey there, beautiful, how are you doing? And Nami looks at Sanji, he's like, my character is a man, right? And Sanji's like, oh, well, you're still hot, you know? Just like he's still trying to do the Riz, and maybe it just doesn't work, right? It's like, okay, sure, whatever. But yeah, that has potential to get kind of awkward, but you know, that's just they're one big family. That's how they are. Okay, so Usopp, I could see Usopp playing like pretty much anything. Like you could pick any class for Usopp, you know, a spellcaster, like a sorcerer, wizard, paladin. I think Usopp would just be good at whatever he picks. The lore and the backstory he would come up with his character would be super intensive, okay? And actually, if Usopp's playing and Robin is the DM, then that backstory would come into play at one point, you know what I mean? Like, there's always it's usually the first character you make in D&D that has a really long backstory and a lot of stuff going for it, and, you know, sometimes it goes places, it depends on the DM, it depends on how often you play, and sometimes a lot of it just might be forgotten, or as you play, things might change and reveal themselves as you go, right? But whatever, like, backstory like Usopp comes up with, he would be talking to Robin about it, and Robin would just be like, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. I have this whole idea set in motion for you, this whole multi-stage character arc thing. That'd be really cool. But I'm gonna go with Usopp being a bard. Okay, I think Usopp being a bard would work the best out of all the classes. Like I said, I think anything, it would be his bread and butter, but bard especially, because, you know, going around inspiring his friends, like the power of the word of mouth, the power of the spoken word. Okay, I think that fits Usopp's character beautifully. If there was some way in One Piece to like use like the hockey of words kind of thing, like his tall tales could actually intimidate people, like Usopp unlocks a special type of conquerors where his stories, like, everyone actually, like, fails a saving throw and believes it, or something like that. Like, Usopp's spell, but they're, like, it actually works on somebody like Kaido or something. Like, that would be cool, right? So I'm gonna go with Usopp being a bard. Chopper, obviously, he's the doctor of the crew, so, oh, by the way, going along with Usopp, I mean, I said pretty much every class for Usopp because he's the jack of all trades, but because he's a sniper, the obvious go-to would be either rogue or ranger, because ranged weaponry, maybe artificer as well, you can come up with something there, but like I said, pretty much anything with Usopp. Chopper, being a cleric immediately, because, you know, Chopper likes to heal people. I think Chopper actually would probably make something along the lines of a healing class, but I don't think he would be a cleric. I think he'd be a paladin. In fact, I think I'm picturing Chopper's character as the most edgy, badass, like, Oathbreaker paladin you can imagine. Because Chopper's this small, cute, adorable little reindeer guy. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm playing Skull Crusher. He lost faith in his god, and he walks out in this badass black armor, carrying a giant warhammer, and he's a paladin, and he can heal you, but he can also, like, fuck shit up, you know what I mean? Like, I can picture, like, Bonebreaker Death Dawn, you know, like, something real, like, Bloodrender, or something like that, right? This really badass, kind of, like, paladin that lost his way in the world, right? So I could see him doing that. And everybody at the table is just, like, aghast at this. Like, when Chopper's character walks into the bar, he walks in, like, breaks through the front door, and it's this, like, 7-foot behemoth, you know, wearing this badass armor, just, and it's like Chopper's, like, describing, like, there's blood and viscera covering his armor and his warhammer, and everyone's like, okay. Like, Chopper's like, and he goes up and he orders some milk. 1%. No, skim milk. God help you if there's any fat in this. It's just like, oh, I could see that from Chopper. Also, druid, because, you know, Chopper's an animal, so a druid speaking with animals, animal friendship, animal messenger, you know, friend of the forest. That works too, but the giant Oathbringer, Oathbreaker, he brings the oath back to you. Oathbreaker Paladin. I think that could work. I think that works with Chopper, okay? Robin would be the DM in this setting. However, if she wasn't, I think she would be a wizard in the regular game. As something with spellcasting, though, probably one of the most complicated classes. Whatever in D&D it is, like, that's the most, like, intricate, that's kind of hard to work with. Robin would be that. Wizards, of course, have access to the most spells in D&D. But she would also, you know what, tell you what, she would also, depending on if this campaign started at, like, level 5 or maybe a higher level, something like that, Robin would build the perfect min-maxed like character ever. So I think the base of it would be wizard, but then she would throw a bunch of other stuff in there too to make like the best min-maxed wizard ever. Like super optimal build would probably be Robin, okay? As is the case with Frankie as well. I think Frankie would also kind of see that. Probably Usopp as well. Like, yeah, which one of them would multi-class is also a question. I could see Usopp, Robin, Frankie. Yeah, I think those are the three. And, you know, Frankie, that's kind of what he does anyway. You know, he adds a bunch of random stuff to him, like weapons and things like that. So Frankie would probably see the multi-classing rules, and he'd be like, ooh, super, this is interesting right here. So, yeah, Robin would multi-class into some crazy build that would just be super broken. Frankie would do that, probably not so much on the broken aspects of it, like take the most optimal things. Frankie would probably just build something really cool. Like, Frankie would probably build, like, a barbarian at first, maybe something like that, like a strong guy, something simple, but then it would evolve. Maybe he would make him an artificer later, and the storyline is like he lost an arm and he replaced it with a cybernetic cannon or something like that. Because, you know, you say that at the beginning, like, oh, they wouldn't play their exact characters, but I think in the case with Frankie, because that's what he's all about, is being a cyborg, even if he doesn't play a cyborg at first, maybe eventually he would build something into it like that, or perhaps not. Maybe it's like Chopper. Maybe Frankie plays a druid gnome. The doors of the tavern swing open and a tiny little gnome walks in, right? Maybe he's a gnome, but he's ready to fight too, you know, maybe something like that. I don't know. Brook, being a bard would be the obvious one because he sings and dances and everything. Bard would be perfect. I'm picturing Brook sitting down making a character and like, I'm gonna make a character. Oh, you know what he would actually, What if Brook makes a character, right? And he's a cowboy. Like, he has a cowboy hat and everything. Some of you already know where I'm going with this, okay? He's a cowboy. Maybe he's, I guess they don't have gunslinger in D&D, although you can. I mean, whatever. He's a ranger or something like that. You know, ranger or a fighter, or somebody that specializes in long-range weapons like guns and shit like that, right? Whatever. He makes a character like that, kind of like not like Adam in One Piece D&D, but you know, kind of like that, right? And he's playing the character, and he's like, oh, Brook's playing like a cowboy, like shoots guns and shit. That's pretty cool, right? And then it isn't until like a ways into the campaign, but Brook reveals that he's based this character off of his old Captain Yorkie. Because I don't know if Brook has ever actually sat down and talked to the Straw Hats about Yorkie or like his previous crew a lot. He probably doesn't want to think about it often. But this would be an interesting thing if Brook is like sitting down and thinking like, which character should I make in this campaign here? And he's like thinking, and he's like, I could make a warlock like me. I could make a skeleton man. But it's like, you know what? He remembers Captain Yorkie and his hat and the way he fought and everything. And maybe he's like, I will make a character based off of Captain Yorkie because I want the captain's legacy to continue through my character. I could see something like that. That's thinking outside the box a little bit, right? Not just be like, Brook's a bard, he plays the guitar. No, it's like, I will make a character based off of my best friend. There you go. And maybe he has a whale companion that shows up at some point, right? There's that. Everybody at the table cries. Everybody at the table cries when they find out that he's Brook's former captain he's basically playing. Like, that would be very sad. Okay, but that would be a good character. Great character. Okay. Then we have Jinbei. All right. Now, Jinbei, like I said, Jinbei would be the guy that would be kind of confused. He'd be the confused dad that's like, I'm not really sure. What class do you think I should pick? He's like, well, Jinbei, what do you want to do? He's like, well, Jinbei, I think, would be the guy that, like, he knows himself the best, right? So his character probably would be the one, him and Luffy's would probably be the most similar to their actual personalities. I don't think Luffy is going to try to figure out wizard or something like that. Luffy likes to hit things. He'd be like, I want to make a character that hits things. So like, okay, so barbarian then, or fighter or something. Like, yeah, Jinbei might just be like, he doesn't want to learn how to do like, oh, like I really don't know how to fight with a sword. I don't really know anything about artificers or singing songs or anything like that. I'm just going to, what's a good class that fights? And just like, that'd be monk probably. I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna be that. All right. So if we're gonna pick a character, just going down the line again, Luffy's the barbarian, Zoro is the ranger, Nami is the wizard. Let's make Sanji the cleric, Usopp's the bard, Chopper's the paladin. Robin is the DM here. Frankie is artificer, barbarian, something, fighter. Brooke is, let's say, maybe a rogue. Maybe we can make Yorkie a rogue, you know, kind of something like that. Rogue or ranger, possibly. And then Jinbei is the monk. There we go. Because Jinbei is just like, I'm used to using, because he knows all about martial arts, and so he would come up with a character that's basically just a thinly veiled version of him, which a lot of times when the first time you play D&D, you often pick characters. Like, the first character I played was a half-elf sorcerer named Adrin, and he was a scholar that knew a lot about history, and that was, I love history, so that's the character I made, right? Okay, I could kind of see that with Jinbei. Like, he knows a lot about martial arts and his fighting styles, so he would just do that. Okay, I can see that. Now, as for their campaign, how fast do you think it would get derailed? This is the question here. Robin has, but then again, Robin knows her crew. Robin has this whole very elaborate thing planned, and she's like, I know how Luffy is, though. I know the first thing Luffy's gonna do is probably run up and punch the bad guy. He's like, you're the bad guy, and maybe Luffy punches him, and Robin could do a thing where Robin introduces a character like, oh, there's this really, there's this guy over by the bar. He's wearing a black cloak, and he looks rather, like, you know, shifty and stuff like that. You don't really know what he's up to. And then Luffy just goes over and punches him in the face, like, ah, you look like the bad guy. I punch you because you're the bad guy. And the guy gets up. He's like, what are you doing? It's like, no. The guy's dead. Let's just fuck it. The guy's dead. He's like, because Robin knows Luffy's going to pull that shit, right? So punches him out. He's like, yeah, you killed him. He only had like 2 HP. He was like a commoner, Luffy. He wasn't a guy. He wasn't a big bad guy or anything like that. And then the bartender and everybody's like, you killed the town doctor. It's like, Luffy's like, what? It's like, the doctor, he has, what? There's people that need help. What are you guys going to do? And then that's when, you know, that's when Sanji's like, I'm the cleric. I can help. He's like, is there a doctor in the house? And just someone's here. He just liked to hang out in the bar, you know, and he had a surgery tomorrow. He just likes to wear a cloak. What's wrong with you, right? You know, and so then the crew have to figure out a way to, like, save somebody's life. Or something, like, I don't know, something like that, right? So Robin would know. Robin would know what they would do and the kind of shit, and she would plan around that. And even if they did something completely off the cuff that even Robin couldn't predict, I think with her knowledge and her Hana no Mi and stuff, she'd be like, all right, I'm gonna figure out something else to do while you're doing this. I'll make a clone of myself to read. I'll make a shadow clone back here that'll read a book and then figure out what I'm gonna do now because you ruined this particular encounter. I'll do something different, right? But Robin would be prepared, and you know she would. Okay. So anyway, that's the video. That's the video. Yeah, I don't really know how to close this one out, but let me know what you think about it. And, you know, which class. I probably forgot something obvious. Like, whenever I do stuff like this, I always forget something very blatantly obvious there, so that's why I was trying to cover all my bases with not just picking one class for every character, because I knew that it was like, well, you pick this for Brooke, and people will be like, a million people will say, oh, Brooke should be this. I mean, honestly, with a few exceptions, I think most Straw Hats, you know, could pick a class. They could make it work to their own strength. You know, like, I don't see Luffy making a super complex character, or Zoro doing something super, like, multi-classing and everything like that. But I could see, like, Frankie, Robin, and Usopp doing that and turning out some characters that are honestly kind of broken. Well, anyway, that was the video. Thanks, you guys, for watching. This will be Teching 101, signing out. Later, everybody.